Hi there, I'm here with Lawrence Okolie. Welcome to SA Boxing Talk, all the way from South Africa. Lawrence, congratulations on your last victory defending your WBC Silver Heavyweight Championship. Lawrence, how are you feeling at the moment?
Well, good, finally able to start getting back into training since the fight. It's just about, rebuilding my fitness and growing.
And let's speak about the last fight. Kevin Lerena, what did you make of him as a professional boxer and fighter?
Um, it was what I expected, to be fair. Going into the fight, I knew he was gonna be good. I knew he was gonna be tough. I knew he was gonna be difficult. I ranked him as one of the best fighters, I would have gone in against. And especially at heavyweight where there's no cutting weight, there's no um especially you're allowed to be at your very best. I knew he'd be extremely tough. But then he proved, but you still have a hope in your mind that it ends up being easy. But after the first and second round, I knew, okay, you know what, it's gonna be I knew pretty much it's gonna be a long night straight away, so it's good.
I asked Kevin before the fight, I said, because you guys were supposed to fight for a while, like cruiserweight, bridgeweight, and even now heavyweight. Which weight do you feel that would have been more like to your advantage in the fight? Because I thought you're quite a bit bigger in the heavyweight division than him.
Yeah, I think heavyweight definitely, at cruiserweight, I might have had a bit more speed, and maybe I'd be big off for the weight. However, it depends when at cruiserweight we boxed, because as it got later on, the benefits started to get outweighed by the negatives. But definitely at heavyweight, I must have been like 20, 30 pounds heavier than him. So yeah.
And now at heavyweight, obviously you're on the cusp of, world title honors there. Do you see yourself within the next fight fighting for the world title? I know at the moment they're discussing, the likes of Joseph Parker is in the picture with regards to fighting the likes of Usyk. Where do you see yourself in that picture?
I think I'm two fights away, so I think that depending on what happens with Usyk and Parker, and whatever Caballero decides to do, I think I'd need to either have a fight in December and then Caballero and then a world title. But I think I have to go through Caballero to either for the world title or to box for the world title.
And we noticed that you had an injury after the fight. You went for surgery. Did that happen in the fight, or was it before the fight that you had injured yourself?
No, I was in the fight. I was in the fight. But before the fight, there was like a little niggle. And then in the fight, it just went straight away. Because I was kind of trying to manage it. Um, like in the change room, not punching as hard, and but as soon as you get into the fight, you forget everything and just start throwing. And then it was like, oh, instantly, I was like, damn. But so it comes with the game.
And what's your connection now with Kevin now, having shared the ring with him and, now that everything is said and done, you got your victory. Do you guys spar in the future? Do you meet
Yeah,
up?
definitely. Definitely, obviously I'm in South Africa quite often, especially Johannesburg. Before the fight, we were friendly. Obviously when the fight got made, it turned not fr I wouldn't say frosty, but it became a bit distant where we had, you draw a line until after the fight. And then straight afterwards, it was good. I mean, it was quite interesting because obviously I trained with the sniper, he's coach, and obviously I'm a massive fan of the whole Smith stable. And but when it got to fight week, it's not just me, it's them as well. Everyone's just on this. Nope, that's not my guy. Not no hellos, no. That it's just we got business to do on the weekend. But as soon as the fight was over, do you know what I mean? They cared about as much about my injury and how I was going to get on, as I did and my coach did. They really seemed very like sort of switched on. And you know what? Like it's probably the first or second time I've been in a fight. And then afterwards, I'm like, you know what? I really like that guy. And then secondly, it's like, you know what? I like his team. I like everything about them. And one moment that really stood with me is although I'm trying to keep it like, okay, Kevin's there, so what? I'm not. I'm here to fight him, bro, because I didn't want to make the same mistake I made in a fight I had with another friend of mine. Um, so I was really trying to stay on it. And then his son came up to me in the hotel and was like, "Hey, Lawrence, can we please get a picture?" And I was like, damn. He's
Yeah.
ruined my whole kind of like I'm gonna be like that because but then it just made me think like what a great parent he is, what a great kid that is, what a great setup they all have, you know, and it made me respect him so much more. So it was, yeah, it was good. It was good. It was good.
In terms of like the mental toughness going into the fight, I mean, where were you at in the press conference when it came to him? Because, Kevin isn't a big talker. Yes, he's stoic in the way he approaches the fight and he talks about it, but mentally going in, there wasn't a lot of, let's say, banter going in. So what did you need to drive you to put on the performance that you did?
Just the respect I have for him, you know, I think Kevin's a fighter that if you're not aware of him, he can catch you off guard. As we've seen with his fight against Dan, you know, he almost got Dan out of there in a different fight, different ref. The exact same thing happens, Dan gets stopped, and then you know it all looks very different. When he boxed Justice Honey, despite the unfortunate stuff that happened in fight week, he still hurt Honey in the last round. So both those guys probably looked at him like, oh, he's cruiserweight. I never. Do you know what I mean? From the moment that they offered me the fight, I was like, all right. I mean, like, it's like, obviously, I don't say no to fights really. So it was just kind of like, they offered it and they kind of offered it. I think that it was offered in a way of like, let's see if you take it kind of thing. Oh, you want to fight so bad? All right, Kevin Lerena. And it's kind of like, yeah, let's do it. Um, but yeah, like I said, like it was just a case of just like, obviously knowing that he's good. So that obviously helps. And then secondly, it's just, as we all have families and stuff that we're fighting for. So I just had to focus on that. And
And
also I'm experienced.
yeah.
So last one, I'm experienced because I had a fight with a stable mate before. It's like I realized from that fight, you have to really take it seriously. You can't think, oh, that's my friend, or you know, it's not going to be like sparring because it's different on fight day. But yeah, that's it.
And I know that Kevin as you mentioned before, had fought Daniel and had fought Huni. And did any of those performances? I know that you said that you had to like sort of take them away, but did any of that worry you about Kevin? Because obviously, 18 ounce in sparring, whatever it may be, or versus 10 ounce in the ring. Did you ever worry that he might have that power that could possess problems, particularly in the beginning of the fight?
Yeah, of course. Do you know what I mean? Not like I wouldn't say scared or anything, but you're aware. It's just like saying he would be aware that I have a good backhand and good physical strength. So you're aware of your opponent's strengths, but I don't think you fear them. But I was definitely aware of it. Do you know what I mean? Like I'd already before I got into the fight, I already knew where I was going to step up at every exchange. I was either going to, you know, step this way, step that way, step like that. There was no getting caught on the counter because you know one thing about southpaws is that they're really good counter punching naturally because I don't know why, but they just are. And then when I watch Kevin, that's how Kevin hurts everyone. Like in all the fights that he's won and all the like he gets it off of the other person as well. The other person throws a shot and they're thinking, yeah. And before they know it, they're caught. And I just had to keep telling myself, don't admire your work. Don't there's little tips the whole way through the fight. Don't switch off, you know, because he was very compact. Like being in there with him was like I was kind of hoping that it looks different from how I thought it was going to look. You watch someone on TV and you think, yeah, he's got a tight guard, he's walking these guys down. But I was hoping maybe in front of me I could see different gaps. They weren't appearing the way that I hoped they were because he's got a really compact sort of guard. He knows just how to move out of the way of the raw power. So it was good. It's a good experience.
And for you, obviously, it was what most people would have seen as like a shutout performance in terms of a points win for you. When it comes to the toughness of Kevin, though, a lot of people didn't see that side of it where he absorbed a lot and he was trying to come back and do something, but it just wouldn't happen for him on the night. Whether that was you making it difficult for him or whether he just froze in that moment. What would your take be on it?
It's a mixture of the two. So I think it was a case of I'm a lot taller than him, number one. So you have to work really hard to break the range. And also I punch hard, so it's difficult to take the second step in case you get counted. However, I think that was the main thing. And also, like Kevin's not a stranger to me. As I said, I was meant to fight him 3 or 4 times throughout my career. So where someone else might box him and they've only had 8 weeks, or I think our camp was like 5 or 6 weeks, they only have a short period of time to prepare for a southpaw. But I was already very much aware of how he fights, his habits, his whatever. So stuff that I might have done that people wouldn't look over, I did it intentionally because I've studied him so much. So I think it's a mix between the two. You know, when you take someone as seriously as I've taken them, um, you know what I mean? Obviously, my life was on the line for the fight, not just figuratively, just in terms of the ambitions and plans that I have. So I took it like beyond seriously. And the main thing I thought is not to okay, when you're just to give a little bit of boxing, okay, when you're boxing a really good counter puncher, the main thing is don't get countered, and then it kind of changes how a fight looks. Because now the same fight happening, if I'm throwing and I'm lazy on my exit, or I get caught with a counter, it starts to look and feel different how the fight looks. Where in this one, the points where he's meant to have success, I've already kind of nullified. So it's like I throw my shots, he comes back, he's partner, but I've already kind of started making my exit out left or making my exit out to the right. So it's like because I've got range and I had weight on him, it was a lot easier for me to do that than let's say um like some of the great guys that he's boxed, like he boxed like the WBC interim champion, what's his name again? Ryan Murphy.
Yeah.
So when you see when he boxed Ryan Murphy, it's like Ryan Murphy throws the shots, but he's still in range and he's hit with a counter. And now someone like Kevin's able to keep the pressure on and keep backing him up, keep landing, keep landing, keep landing. So I said I cannot at any point let him get momentum. So even sometimes he's catching me with shots, and I was like, oh, okay, I've got to go straight away because if you let Kevin front again get a foothold in the fight, it's hard to bring it back because it just is. You know, he punches hard, he punches accurately, so you don't want to let him ever get ahead because it's hard to bring it back. So yeah, that's it. So in terms of his thing, and I think when you really look at it, it wasn't like he put in a bad performance or I it was just stylistically, what I was doing was just a little bit more favorable for the judges on that night. But you know, there's stuff I wish I did a bit differently. There's stuff he probably wish he did a bit differently. But we just live to fight another day. So happy.
With all that being said, of course, you relayed the sort of tactics and difficulties behind having to, get the performance that you wanted in. How good of an opponent, future-wise, for other guys that are coming up against Kevin, would you say? How difficult would it be for them to navigate Kevin Lerena?
It's probably going to be more difficult now because obviously I was very nervous going into the fight because he'd had those two fights with Honey and um, Dan. So despite the fact he lost those fights, it's what you learn in those fights. So against Dan, he was ahead and then he got sloppy and then he got caught and the fight ended. So when he boxed against Honey, despite, the fight going back and forth, he didn't make those same mistakes and he actually hurt Honey later on, early and late. But in this fight as well, he'd probably be saying to himself, he needs to pull the trigger at different points or whatever he's going to learn. I can't tell you what he's going to learn.
Yeah.
But the problem is for the next person or the next like boxers of that, he's a lot more experienced, but he still has the mindset of a winner. So when you come up against someone who's had some close losses or some like losses where you learn in it, when they fight against someone else, like I've lost a fight and then it changed the kind of the way that I approached fighting going forward. So if you still feel like a winner, a loss doesn't affect you in the same way it does to someone who hasn't got the same kind of resolve. So anyway, I think he'll still be a very tough opponent for a lot of guys. I do think Bridgeweight is probably his best bet because, he's a big guy, but he's not like a massive heavyweight. Do you know what I mean? So I've obviously come up from cruiserweight, but I walk around 270, 265, 260. So it's different from Kevin, who probably walks around 230. So that's a lot closer to the 225 Bridgeweight limit. So he's a world champion. I think that there's a lot to be done in that weight class. So yeah, I would obviously I can't. Once again, I'm not his manager. That's just my thoughts.
I see that the WBC has ordered his Bridgerweight title on the line, so it looks like he'll be fighting towards the end of the year, maybe in South Africa, maybe in Europe somewhere.
Do we know who it's against?
It's against, I'll tell you now.
I know which one it is. I know
Yeah,
which one it is. Yeah,
Christoph.
he's bold.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
he's got a lot of fights. He's 66 wins and 4 losses.
That's it. That's it. That's the one who used to be a champion. He's a very experienced campaigner. And you know what? These Polish guys right now, they're looking for. Like, obviously, I've boxed a bunch of them, and they are waiting for a world champion badly. I think they've got a guy who I boxed in Cieslak. He's waiting in the wings. He's like WBC interim champion at cruiserweight. They've got this guy, so it's like they're eager for a world champion. So you know they're gonna come 100% ready. They're gonna like it's their opportunity to get their first world champion in a long time. So um, all the luck for Kevin.
Yeah, sorry about that. Someone's trying to call. So these Polish guys you're mentioning, but for you, are you fighting before the end of the year?
I hope to fight in December, but it all depends on the injury. So it's healing up quickly, if I'm honest. They said that it's ahead of schedule. However, it's one thing to be able to lift the weight and to punch a bag, but it's a different thing to have a full-on fight. So I'd like to fight in December, but I have to see how this next 6 weeks goes. Do I need to wait till January? I'm not in a crazy rush, but it'll be good to have two this year.
It's for you mean for next
No,
year?
one more this year.
One more this year.
I would have been, yeah, I would have loved to have three fights this year, but unfortunately, injuries and whatever. But we'll see.
All right, we'll look forward to that next step. Lawrence, maybe when you're in South Africa, we can catch up again. That would be really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely be there in the next month or so. I've meant to come earlier, but there's been some passport issues. But I'll be there probably next month.
Awesome. And then, if do you train out of any specific gym when you come, or do you train in South Africa when you come here this side?
But when I come, as I said, the only place I've ever trained is Kevin's gym, so I'll probably go there again. Yeah,
It's going to be interesting, obviously, between the two of you. But it's good,
yeah,
obviously, friends outside of the ring. Obviously, for the night, you had to
that's
put on a
it.
performance, and to congratulate you
Yeah,
again.
exactly.
And
Thank you. I appreciate it.
yeah, we'll see you soon. Thank you very much for joining me on SA Boxing Talk and giving the South African
Catch up.
audience your opinion.
All good. Much love. Catch up.